Hello everyone, this is Rashid Khan and you are watching Innovative English Learning. You can also watch this video in English from the playlist. Today we are going to talk about another very important grammatical topic, that is passive voice. So first we need to know what is passive voice. Passive voice is actually the form of verb that shows whether the action is done by the subject or to the subject. So if it is an active voice, active verb, then the subject is active there. If it is passive voice, then the role of subject is passive there. Now, why do we use passive voice? For example, if I can say that I wrote a letter, why should I say that a letter was written by me? If I say I played cricket and I say cricket was played by me, so what does it mean? Why do we use passive voice if we can say something in active? Remember, there are some reasons for using passive voice. The first reason is that when the subject of an action is unknown or is not mentioned. Remember, when we have active voice, there must be a subject. Remember, without subject, we cannot use active voice. So in active voice, the existence of subject is necessary. Without subject, we cannot make active sentence. So if there is no subject, we cannot use active voice. So if we cannot use active voice, then we definitely have to use passive voice. So when the subject is unknown or we do not mention it, either it is not necessary to mention it, or we do not know it, or we do not want to mention it. So in this case, we have to use passive voice. For example, trees were cut. Who cut them? We don't know, or we do not want to mention. So trees were cut. There is no subject. We cannot say this sentence in active voice until and unless we bring a subject. Cricket is played in Pakistan. Now we do not want to mention it, something, a general truth or something that is generally known. So we only say cricket is played in Pakistan. Now here cricket is the object, it is not the subject. There is no subject in this sentence. We may say that Pakistanis play cricket, then it is the active sentence. But this exact sentence cannot be converted into active voice because we do not have the subject, so we have to use passive voice. Next, criminals were arrested. Definitely police arrested them, but we do not want to mention them. So we use passive voice because we do not have the subject. Next, when the object of an action is given more importance than the subject. For example, when we want to focus the object of a sentence rather than the subject, so we use passive voice in order to bring the object to the start of the sentence and take the subject to the end of the sentence. For example, my father gifted me a car. Now we have two objects here, me and a car. Me is the receiver, that is the indirect object, and a car, that is something that the action is done upon, so that is the direct object. Now what object do I want to focus on? If I want to focus me, I convert it with the subject and I bring it to the start of the sentence. And if I want to focus on the car, then I change it with the subject. For example, a car was gifted to me by my father. So here I want to give more importance to the car, that a car was gifted to me. But if I focus on I, that no one else got the car, I got the car. So I was gifted a car by my father. So here I change I with the subject. Now it depends, if you want to focus the object, you change it with the subject, so it comes to the start of the sentence. If you have two objects, whatever you want to focus, you change it with the subject. So that is another reason for using passive voice. There is a third reason, that if you want to bring variation in your sentence structure, so instead of using active voice repeatedly, we sometimes use passive voice. So that is another reason. Okay, so these are the reasons for using passive voice. Now when we convert a sentence from active into passive voice, definitely we have to follow some rules. So the first one is only transitive verb can be changed into passive voice. Remember, transitive and intransitive verb, we have discussed it in previous lectures. Transitive is the verb that is followed by an object. So if there is an object after a verb, that is supposed to be transitive. So only transitive verb can be changed into passive voice. If there is intransitive verb that does not need an object, we cannot change it into passive voice. For example, he is watching TV. Now TV is the object, watching is the verb. So it means watching is transitive. We can change it. TV is being watched by him. But if I say he is walking home, now walking is verb and home is adverb of place. There is no object. It means walking is intransitive. So I cannot change this verb into passive voice. Or I say I am standing, I am running, I am smiling, I am laughing. So smiling, laughing, standing, running, walking, they are intransitive verbs and they cannot be changed into passive voice. The third rule is only third form of verb is used in passive voice. Remember, in active voice, we may have first form, we may have second form, we may have ing form, but when it comes to passive voice, we have only third form of verb. For example, she cooks the meal. Here we have first form with s, present simple tense, but when we convert it into passive voice, the meal is cooked by her. Again, it is the same simple, present simple tense, but the form of verb is third. Okay? She is reading a novel, ing form, but when we convert it into passive voice, a novel is being read by her. So read is the third form of verb. Okay? We have some more rules, we'll discuss it here. Okay, next we have subject is moved to the place of object and vice versa. So the subject moves to the place of object and object moves to the place of subject. We shift or we change the place of subject and object. It does not mean that the subject becomes object and object becomes the subject. For example, he is cutting a tree. So he is the subject and a tree is the object. So we only change their place. For example, a tree is being cut by him. So a tree comes to the start of the sentence while he goes to the end of the sentence. So we only change the place of subject and object. Next, when the subject moves to the place of object, it is converted into objective case, and when object moves to the place of subject, it is converted into subjective case. We have two cases of pronoun, subjective case and objective case. When we use it as a subject before the main verb, we use subjective case. For example, I, we, he, she, it, they are subjective cases. But when we change them into objective case, I becomes me, we becomes us, they becomes them, he becomes him, she becomes her, etc. So she proposed him. She is the subject and him is the object. Now, when we change their place, what happens? This she goes to the place of object and him comes to the place of subject. So him becomes he. We change the case from objective to subjective. And when she goes there, it is converted from subjective into objective case. So it is her. By is added before the subject when it moves to the place of object. When we move this subject to the place of object, we add by before it. For example, he cut the tree. The tree is the object and he is the subject. We change their place. What happens? The tree comes to the start of the sentence, was cut by him. So before him we add by, and this by and the pronoun, the object, the pronoun that comes after it or the noun that comes after it, they are called agent and passive voice. Okay, so we add by before the subject when subject comes to the place of object. Next we have if an active sentence already contains by. If there is a sentence and that is active sentence but it has by in it, it does not mean by makes it passive. So we add another by. Okay, so we may have two bys in a sentence. For example, he crossed the river by boat. Now we have a by here, but it's an active sentence, past simple tense. When we change it into passive voice, the river, it is the object and he is the subject. So we convert them with each other. The river was crossed by him. We add another by here, by him, by boat. So we have two bys here, by him, by boat. Okay? Each tense takes helping verb from next tense. Another rule is that when we change an active sentence into passive, the tense will take helping verb from next tense. For example, if an active sentence is in present simple tense, we will take helping verb from present continuous tense. If it is in present perfect tense, we take helping verb from present perfect continuous. If it is in past simple tense, we take helping verb from past continuous tense. For example, he plays cricket. It's present simple tense. This is the object and he is the subject. So what happens? We change the place. Cricket comes here. Now, after present simple tense, we have present continuous, and in present continuous, we have three helping verbs: is, are, am. Here, cricket is singular, so we take is. If here the subject is plural, then we'll take are. So cricket is, and this first form is converted into third form. Played, by is added, and he goes to the place of object, and it becomes him, objective case. He has written his homework. Now it is present perfect tense. Has written, third form of verb. What happens? His homework is the object, it comes here, and he is the subject, it goes there. So his homework, now his homework is singular, so we take helping verb from present perfect continuous tense, and in present perfect continuous we have two helping verbs, has been and have been. So it's singular, homework is singular, we take has been written. This is the third form. By is added and he becomes him. Next rule is present continuous and past continuous do not take helping verb from next tense. What happens? Rather, being is added with existing helping verb and third form of main verb is used. In this rule, we said that each tense takes helping verb from next tense, but there are two exceptions: present continuous and past continuous. They do not take helping verb from next tense. What happens? We add being with the existing helping verb and the ing form is changed into third form. For example, he is cutting a tree. It's present continuous tense. A tree is the object and he is the subject. We change them with each other. A tree is being is added and cutting is converted into cut, third form. By is added and he becomes him. She was cooking the meal. It's past continuous tense. So we do not take helping verb from next tense. The meal is the object, it comes here, and she is the subject, it goes to the place of object. The meal was being is added, cooking is converted into cooked, by is added and she becomes her. So the meal was being cooked by her. So present continuous and past continuous do not take helping verb from next tense. I hope it's clear to you. We have some more rules as well. Okay, next we have future continuous, and all perfect continuous tenses cannot be changed into passive voice. So if there is future tense in active voice or perfect continuous tenses, any perfect continuous tense, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous, so these four tenses, they cannot be converted into passive voice. So we are left with only 8 tenses. Next rule is if there are two objects in active voice, either can be changed with the subject. We discussed before that the object is changed with the subject. So if there are two objects, direct object and indirect object, which one is supposed to be changed with the subject? So we can change either of them. For example, he gave me some flowers. Now we have two objects, me and some flowers. Me is the indirect object and flowers is the direct object. So first I change me with the subject. I was given some flowers by him. It's past simple tense, so we take helping verb from past continuous, and given, gave, that is the second form, it is converted into third form, and some flowers by him, he becomes like it is moved to the place of object and by is added before. Now I want to focus some flowers. So some flowers were given to me by him. Now remember one thing, that when we change the direct object with the subject, so before the indirect object we add two. In more like in many cases we add two before the indirect object. Next rule is if there is question word, WH word, what, where, when, why, how, etc. in active voice, it remains the same and the rest of the rules are followed. So if in active voice we have WH word, it remains the same and we follow the rest of the rules. For example, where do you learn English? Where do you learn English? Where remains the same in passive voice. It is present simple tense, so we take helping verb from present continuous is. Next, English is the object and you is the subject. So English comes to the place of subject and you goes to the place of object. So where is English learned? It is the first form and it is converted into third form. By is added and you goes to the place of object and question mark is added at the end. Later on we'll practice it in more detail as well. Next rule is who, WHO, is changed into by whom in passive voice. So if in active voice there is who, we change it into by whom in passive voice. For example, who teaches you English? Now, who is converted into by whom? It is present simple tense, so we take helping verb from present continuous. English and you, both are objects. So if I want to change English with the subject, so by whom is English taught to you? If I want to change you, by whom are you taught English? Now here it is are because of you and it is because of English. So these are some of the basic rules for converting a sentence from active into passive voice. After this, we'll talk about some more structures like imperative sentences, modal auxiliaries, how to convert these things into passive voice. Hope it's clear to you. Back. Next, we have imperative sentences. Now you know that imperative sentences are those sentences which express some kind of order, request, advice, command, suggestion, prohibition, etc. Now how to convert them? There are two ways. One way is that we bring let, object, then be, then third form. For example, open the door. Let the door be opened. So open, it is first form, it is converted into third form. Be is introduced and the door, that is the object that is placed after the let. Take your class. Let your class be taken. Do not pluck the flowers. Now it's negative, so we introduce not. Let the flowers not be plucked. Fill the blanks. Let the blanks be filled. So that is one way to convert imperative sentences into passive voice. There is another way. We bring you are ordered, requested, instructed, forbidden or prohibited, advised, suggested. Depends on the sentence. If it is in order, you are ordered. If it's a request, you are requested. If it's an instruction, you are instructed. If it's prohibition, you are prohibited. If it is an advice, you are advised. Then we introduce to, and the rest of the imperative sentence is placed after to. The same active sentence is placed after to. For example, shut the door. Now from the word shut, we can guess that it's in order. So you are ordered. Then we introduce to and the same sentence is placed after to. You are ordered to shut the door. Bring me a glass of water, please. Now from the word please, we can guess that it's a request. So you are requested to bring me a glass of water. Do not tell a lie. Now if it is a prohibition, we say you are prohibited to tell a lie. Remember, once we use prohibited, we do not use not, because prohibition is already negative, so we cannot use two negatives. So we do not use not after prohibition, etc. Do not sit here. You are prohibited to sit here. Or if it is in order, we say you are ordered not to sit here. So in case of order, we introduce not, but in case of prohibition, we do not bring not. I hope that imperative sentences or their conversion into passive voice is clear to you. Next, we have got modal auxiliaries, how to convert modal auxiliaries into passive voice. Welcome back. Next, we have modal auxiliaries. Now you know modal auxiliaries are can, could, may, might, ought to, must, should, etc. So if there are modal auxiliaries in active voice, how to convert them into passive voice? So this is the structure. We bring the object to the start of the sentence, then the same modal auxiliary, then we add be after modal auxiliary, and the first form in active voice is changed into third form in passive voice. We introduce by and then the subject if any. Okay. For example, I can play cricket. Cricket is the object, I is the subject. So we convert them. Cricket comes here and I goes there. Cricket can remains the same. Be is introduced and first form play is changed into played. By is introduced and then we have me. I becomes me. Similarly, she could cook chicken. Chicken could be cooked by her. So chicken is the object, cooked, the same modal auxiliary. We introduce be, cook is converted into third form, and by is introduced and she becomes her. You may fail the paper. The paper may be failed by you. So the same structure is followed. She must buy a car. A car must be bought by her. They ought to perform their duties. Their duties ought to be performed by them. He should play cricket. Cricket should be played by him. So we follow this structure for converting modal auxiliaries into passive voice. I hope that it's clear to you, and I hope that the rest of the structures or the rules that we have discussed so far, they are clear to you about passive voice. In next video, we'll practice all these rules in detail. We'll convert some examples of negative yes/no questions, WH questions, modal auxiliaries, imperative sentences, positive sentences into passive voice that will help you understand these rules in more details. Okay, thank you for watching this video. For more such videos on English grammar or language related things, keep watching Innovative English Learning and do share it with your own friends. Thank you. Take care of yourselves.